In 2022, we were able to offer students interested in migration issues a unique experience, to engage conceptually and practically with key contemporary forced migration issues in one of the epicenters of the European migration crisis. After a hiatus of 2 years due to the pandemic, Harvard University, in collaboration with the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, launched their first joint summer program on migration and refugee studies, the first product of a very promising collaboration between the two universities, a synergy that opens the door for auspicious prospects for research, pedagogy, and advocacy on a phenomenon that has plagued humanity. From simulations of rescue at sea, to meetings with national and local governmental Greek actors and European Union representatives, from lectures by academics, lawyers, journalists, and emergency doctors, to visits to migrant camps and discussions with locals at the front lines, students from Harvard, NQUA, and other universities across the world spent 3 weeks in July 2022 in Greece, fully immersed on issues of migration, inside and outside the classroom. They had the opportunity to learn from 42 leading scholars and practitioners, while being exposed to perspectives that are hard to find in academic seminars. And all these in a safe learning space that welcomes students from all the disciplines and backgrounds, including refugees and students with refugee and irregular migration backgrounds. Reflecting on the experience of its inaugural year, we feel confident that we accomplished our main goal: to set the stage for the exchange of knowledge, experience, and skill sets across disciplines and continents, and allow students to see the phenomenon in its fullest context, while helping them turn into the future advocates that this world needs and deserves. We will remain faithful to these goals as the program continues. And who better to speak about this and this collaboration than our students themselves?
So Natalie, thank you so much for having this brief conversation with me. We spent 3 weeks together in Greece, in 3 different places in Greece, in Athens, in Inaugural, and in Lesbos over the summer. And as a student from the Harvard Kennedy School working on issues of public policy, but with somebody with a health background, I wondered if you could just share some of your reflections about the program and what you took away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was an incredible experience. And while there was so many takeaways, I think it was really gaining a deep understanding of just how complex refugee and migration policy really is. And with that, just how critically important it is to establish these partnerships and collaborations, such as the one between the FXB Center and our Greek colleagues, and really coming together to start understanding how we can find ways to improve the situations, to find ways around some of the massive barriers, continuing to advocate for refugees and migrants. But for me, most importantly, and most imperative is really giving the voice and the platform to the refugees and migrants themselves. So having had the opportunity to not only be in the classroom with 2 refugee students, but really being able to have experiential learning where we were in the refugee camps and doing some of the simulations in collaboration with a lot of different parties. I think it was a really unique and special opportunity.
Yeah, Natalie, thank you. I think that, one of the things that we tried to offer as organizers was the opportunity to hear not only from different disciplinary experts, lawyers, doctors, journalists, people working on environmental issues, but also to hear from people who are very differently placed in society. As you say, we had refugees. We were fortunate enough to have refugees in our classroom, but also we met, people who are in very senior government positions, across to people who are, working on the front lines of humanitarian intervention, but also some local people. So did you have any particular takeaways, that you just remember now? Here we are a few months down the line, from that experience that you think will be valuable going forward and that we should be sure to repeat?
I think it's absolutely critical to bring in all those voices. I felt super privileged to be able to hear from all the different parties. Everyone that we met, I think everyone brings a really unique perspective, and ones that are needed to really better understand the issues surrounding refugee and migration policy. As a nurse practitioner and having worked on the ground, I really value the perspective from those who are on the front lines and who are really having the day-to-day experiences. But of course, it's highly important to include the senior government to understand what else is going on in terms of the policies at a higher level. And then, of course, like we've been saying, the multidisciplinary approach is, I think, vital to really understanding how we can start filling some of these gaps and overcoming some of the barriers in creating a better system and processes for our refugees and migrants in each of our countries. One of the biggest privileges was definitely having some 2 refugee students within the classroom with us, sharing some really personal stories that were, I think, a huge kind of spark and inspiration for a lot of us, and just what they've been able to kind of overcome and do in their professional lives has been amazing. And I would absolutely love to see more voices from the refugees and migrants in the future. And I know it's something that the program has been working on. But even being in the refugee camps and having some of that experiential learning and site visits is super important in really hearing all the voices. And I think more important than ever is that advocacy and giving the leadership roles to refugees and migrants themselves.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's lovely to hear you say that. And I think, what you're capturing is both, in a way, the openness and the humility of many of the students who are in our classroom to really learn from each other and to learn from multiple players, but also the commitment, I think, that we all feel to be supportive of refugees and migrants as they cross these very complex and often hair-raising or traumatic spaces and accompany them, whether as nurses or teachers or advocates or as policymakers. So thank you so much for these comments.